Do you think it would affect your wife's opinion if Nick was not smoking hot?
I think
he's biased.
I think it affects my opinion. I am very excited to be able to chat with you guys about Handmaid's Tale season 5 coming to Hulu on September the 14th. Very interesting, and I'm not gonna do any spoiler stuff, or at least I'm gonna try not to. I accidentally did, well, not me. There was spoilers earlier, so I'm gonna try to be careful.
Okay.
Bradley, I'm curious what you would say maybe is the ratio of Lawrence's motivation being sort of survival to his code of ethics, if you will. Like, how much of him is propelled by each of those?
I think I've been talking about this a lot today. I think part of the power of the show is, the core of it is this character June, and part of her power is she's you see her blow on the spark of decency in Nick and in me. I think she, to my surprise, I think in the wake of the death of Eleanor, I probably could have killed myself. I think I'm aware of what I created. And I think that June has shown me a possible sort of path to redemption. I also think I'm not naive in the way that I see June is about how quickly you can change a fascist regime in a world which, very much like our own, democracy seems to be on the wane, and white nationalism seems to be on the rise. So it's somewhere in there.
Yeah, well, that is tragically accurate. Max, my wife and I are big fans of the show. We've been watching together since the beginning, and we talk about it. Like, so she's watched some of the new episodes with me, and
worst date movie ever.
Yeah, it's very good for conversation among two people who've been together for as long as we have. I'll say it that way. Who have evolved the way we have together. We had a discussion of what does kind of Nick want, and does Nick want to be free of Gilead, or does he accept who he is, where he is, and he's just going to roll with it and be the best Nick he can be in the bad situation? I'm curious what your thoughts are on
I am so much more curious about what you and your wife think.
Well,
am I allowed to privy to that?
Yeah, she is much more of the persuasion that Nick probably does want to be free. That Nick probably does genuinely in his heart want to be free of Gilead. I am more of I think he's developed a behavior much more closely to Lawrence of this just is what it is.
Do you think it would affect your wife's opinion if Nick was not smoking hot?
I think
he's biased.
I think it affects my opinion that Nick is smoking.
Go ahead.
I think that I don't think that Nick was a particularly developed person yet when he came into Gilead. He was a kid, like literally a kid. So a kid who'd not traveled much, was not particularly educated, and I don't think he knows anything outside of this. I don't think it's honestly occurred to him that would really be an option. Yeah. He has no example to point to of something like that, right? Yeah. And I think always, for everybody in life, we need inspiration. We need something to inspire us to take those kind of risks. So I think he is somebody who wants to be a good person. That's how I see him. I think he's somebody who's trying to figure out how to have a moral compass, but he has no guidance around him. Right. To help facilitate that. I think in Lawrence, it's actually the first time he has had a figure in his life who can help guide him with any kind of intelligence. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I appreciate you guys taking time to chat today. That's my time. Again, Handmaid's Tale season 5, Hulu, September 14th. Got it.
Thank you for the plug, Stephen.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
guys.
That's the wife.
Yes, thank you. I will.
Okay.
We are here to talk about The Handmaid's Tale, season 5. And can I just say, is Janine a cat? Because she has so many lives.
She's cat-like. She's
cat-like.
Energy.
She just keeps coming back. You can't, like, I love that Janine almost seems like the most vulnerable character, and yet she is easily one of the toughest.
Yeah, that's my girl.
Do you, I mean, is that like,
Oh yeah, that's very much
you?
my Janine. Oh yeah, that resonates very heavily. I think she's a cat. I think that she's a jungle cat. I think that she's more like a, you know. But yeah, I think that Janine is a very powerful, though she be but little, she is fierce, you know. That's my kind of my Janine feeling.
Yeah. We used to have that painted on my on our daughter's wall, that saying, yeah. We want to avoid spoilers, obviously, but as the show goes on, we see more and more of June's sort of pursuit, her vengeance, her frustration, her anger, leaving people in its wake. And Janine has, I mean, I guess often been one of the greatest examples of that. But it almost seems like Janine has strengthened. I don't want to say hardened, but there's a strength to Janine now that may be because of what she's gone through with June and what all of that. What are your thoughts on that? Am I totally off base?
No, I think you're absolutely right. There are things that have happened to Janine over the course of especially the last 2 seasons, that have really changed her, and that she wouldn't be who she is now, of course, in this 5th season, and take on the role that she does take on with Esther. If it weren't for her time spent with June, I think that she recognizes that there is a void without June there. And I think she knows very well, very intimately, that you cannot survive this without June, without a June. Yeah. And I think that she sees that she needs to be like June to help these girls. And I don't think that, I think it's so true. It's like, she's not hardened. She's grounded. She used to be very, very this, and she could, because June was the brave one. June was the grounded one, but now she needs to be the grounded one.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The last thing that I want to ask before our time is up is, I picked up on something that I'm curious about. Janine seems to have a strong sense of like consent. Like there's like this element to her where she's very like intentional about, when there's a scene where I'll be careful, she asks for a hug. And I thought that was very fascinating, that she goes out of her way to, or not goes out of her way, but that she makes the point to kind of like be very intentional about that.
Yeah. Well, there's also she's very trepidatious around Naomi.
Sure. Yeah, that's a very good point.
It's a constant state of, also, Naomi can be a little mercurial.
Sure.
And it's just like kind of left up to Naomi's whim whether or not she's going to allow Janine to really interact with the baby. Oh God, sorry.
We'll hold it.
Yeah, I think she does have an element of consent, but also because she does always have to make sure that she's not doing something wrong, something punishable, something that will get her daughter taken away from her. Yeah. Or like her daughter's already been taken away, but taken further away, unable to see her.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And it is very interesting to see how it all plays out over the new season. Season 5, Hulu, September 14th. Madeline, I really appreciate you taking time to chat. Thank you
so much, Stephen. Yeah.
It's funny. I've been watching The Handmaid's Tale from like the very beginning, and I have a hard time like not referring to you by your character names. Like, I just want to be like, Mark, Rita, let's talk a little bit.
So do we. That's the hard part.
Rita, Amanda.
I love it. I love it.
I did it. I knew I was going to do it too. I knew I was. That's why I said it. It feels a little bit this. Let's be careful to avoid spoilers, but Rita very much wants to live her life and move forward, and it seems like that might be a challenge for her with all that June has going on.
Yes, agreed.
Do you see Rita being able to have that full life with June still attached, or is there going to have to be some space maybe?
You know, that is a fantastic question. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that if June continues, without spoilers, continues down the path that she's been on for 5 seasons, I think as Rita tries to become the healthiest version of herself as possible, she really starts to create boundaries with June and realizes some of the more toxic relationships. We saw last season her completely shut off Fred. This season, there are moments where she is sort of resistant to Serena Joy, and Elisabeth, June is her best friend, is the only sort of thing that she has from Gilead that she's able to hold on to and loves. But at the same time, it's not the healthiest relationship when she's with June, who keeps wanting to go backwards. So my answer is I don't know. I don't think so.
It's powerfully complex. Sam, I feel, and maybe this is just my perception, but I feel like Mark is the character who exists in the gray more than a lot of the other characters. And maybe that's because he has to be diplomatic. It is all, very political for him, but there are those moments of sort of personal where you can see like it's kind of breaking through a little bit, and he's trying to be more than just a diplomat. Does it feel that way for you about Mark? Do you feel like Mark is the least black and white, or is that just me?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think Mark lives in what we call no man's land between Gilead and Canada. He's trying to do what's best for what's left of his country, and I think democracy. But that, he's a political animal, so he's going to do whatever he can to try and make sure that his country regains power and strength. And unfortunately, he burns some bridges along the way.
So it seems to be the way it has to go a lot of times. There is a lot more of Mark sort of playing chess this season with Gilead and some of the characters that Commander Lawrence and Nick and those kinds. Was it nice for you to kind of be able to work with those characters, those actors, a little more this season than you've gotten to in the past?
Oh, it was. Yeah, it's fun to see Mark. It's such a fun show to see Gilead and outside Gilead, and to have those merge where we get to see Mark meet quite a few of the Gilead characters that he's heard about for so many years on our show. It's kind of a nice way back into just what a strange world Gilead is to an outsider. So we get to kind of be Mark's, see the world through Mark's eyes for a little bit. It's really fun.
It is. It's interesting the perspectives that you have as a viewer, having seen all this for so long, and then almost kind of seeing it anew through the way that he interacts with all the people. So it's very interesting. Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate taking time to chat today. Very excited to be here to chat with you guys about Handmaid's Tale season 5, September 14th. I got it wrong earlier, and Sam and Amanda were polite enough to correct me.
That's my cast. They know this we're good.
Bruce, I want to ask you a question about something that I'm very curious of. Do you ever write some of the needle drops, the songs, into the script? Do you guys have certain songs that you're like, we definitely want this song right here? Or is that something that's kind of purely up to the music supervisor?
it isn't purely up to. We never put it in script.
Okay.
Only because you kind of don't. It's putting the cart before the horse. You want the music. You want to wait till you see what it is before you know what music works. And the music choices in the show are very much from June's point of view. It's always like, when you get a song in your head, you don't know why, like it just pops. That's what June is like. She just goes, really? Am I, it's the moments are often so absurd that she gets some sort of absurd song in her head. We wait until post usually. So at the very end, when we have a cut, so we have this beautiful Sophie's choice between, do we let Adam Taylor compose something or do we use a song? Right. And so that's always a problem. But I think that, and mostly the music supervisor and me and the people in post and the director, kind of present, choose, that kind of thing. But, in the end, music is so personal that 100% it's whether I like it or not personally.
Right.
A lot of them, though, lately there's a lot of songs I didn't know beforehand because I don't want it to be Bruce's greatest hits, but it has to be a song, and it is just taste, but it's got to be someone's taste, so it's just mine.
The reason that I asked that question was because there's just a great Dolly Parton song in episode 1. I mean, I don't want spoilers or anything, but it's just a great use of the song, and it just works so well. It's so like, and it was all
Lizzie. That was her choice.
Purpose.
Yep, absolutely, and that was Lizzie.
Warren, here's a question that I have for you. Maybe not so much a question as an observation that I'd love your opinion on.
Okay.
But there's a lot of theories. There's a lot of talk about Handmaid's Tale, the dystopian, and how it parallels, or how there's fear of it paralleling real world and all that. But for me, at the heart of it, it is still a story about a mother desperate to save her child. And I feel like some of the sort of like chatter among fans and viewers and stuff, we kind of lose that a little bit. But has that kind of always been the driving goal for you guys, that specific element?
It has. First and foremost, present a compelling human drama. And as Bruce early on described it, a thriller, right? So that our goal is to bring audiences to it. What we found once we started making it is that the world that Margaret put in her book 35 years ago, that world became more relevant than we ever anticipated. And today, it's even more relevant. So there are echoes of that all the time. And let's be really clear, paramount to this is a battle for feminist rights. Right. But as we must never forget that we're telling a narrative here that we want viewers to absolutely go for this ride, that ride is emotionally gut-wrenching and also fulfilling. And I think that's what we've been able to straddle. That's why we're still here 5 years. And I think we're in a really, really good place right now in the drama that we're presenting. So yeah, that's us.
Well, listen, as a fan of the show, I want you to know that season 5 is fantastic. I love it. My wife loves it. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity to chat with you today. I really appreciate it. Handmaid's Tale season 5, September 14th. Thank you. On Hulu.
Thank you.